Our final segment this morning with Metro Vice Mayor Jim Shulman. If you have a question, comment about the new stadium deal, which has pretty much dominated our conversation this morning as we talked about issues facing Nashville. Council meeting tonight. There'll be some more of these issues on first reading as they talk about financing, the tax increase on the hotel tax. We had Todd waited through the break, and we'll take his call. Todd, good morning. Hi, Todd.
Hello, Nick.
Hello.
Hey, Vice Mayor.
Hey.
My question for you is, put the money issues aside, how come we've got a stadium that's 23 years old that needs a total replacement?
We were just talking about that during the break.
That is hard to understand.
Yeah. That Butch Spiriton, the Visitor and Convention Bureau or Corporation was on, and he basically said it happened so quickly that the stadium back when it was built on the cheap. And it was built, and again, to try to answer your question, maybe, I don't know if this is right, but it was $200 million back then, which was quite affordable really for the time. And now, 20 plus years later, it's $2 billion. So I don't know, was it built on the cheap? I've been to the stadium this year, and yeah, it's older compared to other stadiums, but it seems fine to me, but it pales in comparison to the new ones, and everyone wants to keep up with the Joneses. Maybe that, I don't know, Todd, what do you think?
It just seems like our public structures should last longer than 23 years.
You were saying, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Well,
Absolutely.
I mean, again, what is the Superdome?
Yeah.
Todd, the Superdome in New Orleans?
It's been refurbished. I know it was discussed. Let's tear this down after the hurricane. They didn't. They kept it clean. I've been there since. It's very nice, but that's an old structure.
Well, so the question is, when you build these things, like Todd's talking about, and Todd's still on the phone, obviously. Todd, I mean, you look at these things and go, they should be built to last for a long time.
Maybe with some upgraded maintenance. What's your take then, Todd, on this plan moving forward?
It just seems like we should be looking further out and planning our structures to have more service life than 23 years.
I hear you.
Well, this one, I think, what I've been told is this one's going to last a long time.
Yeah, and the hope is on this one, that's exactly what they'll do. And as I said, if you take Butch at his word, he said that original stadium, because really, let's face it, we were all pretty stunned when Bud Adams said, I'm going to move the team here. And we were going to do everything, and okay, we'll get that stadium going. And the city was not as financially, the big boom town then as it is now. So we built it on the cheap, $200 million, and Todd's probably right. Should have lasted longer, but that's what you get for that much money. Now, if we're spending $2 billion on this new one, it better last longer than 20 years, maybe with built-in obvious upgrades over time, but this one should stand alone, don't you think?
Well, it's my understanding this is going to last like 50 years, maybe even longer, or maybe it'll last longer. But you want these things to last for a long time. I don't think you want the city to have this discussion, and I don't think the Titans probably want to have the discussion either. It's like, let's figure this one out. Again, we were talking over the break. The council's job is to look at this thing. I said gaps before. It's like traps. It's like you're looking for anything that may leave the city, accountable. We want to know all of this stuff. We want to make sure it's transparent. We want to hear from people about what they think about it. I think Todd's point is really, really good, because I have the same thoughts, and that is, when you put this money in, you've got to have enough vision in the future to make sure these things are going to last and they're going to work.
You've lived here long enough, outside the university pavilions, that there was a time in this city, the only major arena for sports, professional sports, there's hockey at one point, minor league hockey, was Municipal Auditorium across the street. Since then, this city's been in the business of building stadiums. Not long, before they started with the Titans, of course, Bridgestone Arena was built, all right?
Yeah.
We got Titan Stadium. Then we got right behind here next to Bicentennial Mall where the Sounds play, this big fancy one, and then Geodis Park. I mean, at what point do people say, well, it's one stadium after another, after another, after another? And I guess sports these days like to have dedicated stadiums. They don't like to share.
Which I think is good. Remember the old days? Like, I'm a big Cincinnati Reds fan. They used to share their stadium with the Bengals. That's right. You had one stadium. It was built. It was a round stadium. It's called Riverfront Stadium.
Now, NBA, which we do not have, but NBA and hockey sometimes share the same arenas. Yeah. They put the hardwood floor over the ice or whatever. But we have all these stadiums. I mean, Geodis Park, which I have not been there. You haven't yet. I've been around it. It's spectacular, and soccer fans love it. Baseball stadium back here is nice. But boy, we've been building a lot of stadiums.
Well, and now there's, people, I'm surprised somebody hadn't called in and said, is there a Major League Baseball team coming? That's like, so, you know, one of the things is that vision, you know, is anybody talking about, can you, if, you know, at some point, Nick, probably, again, when we're not going to be here, you know, how many people are going to live in this city? There's going to be like 2-3 million people, more than that. And then are they going to be ready for a baseball team? And then who's going to pay for that? You know, and can that be fit in someplace? You know, First Tennessee Park or whatever it's Truist Park. No, it's not Truist. That's in Atlanta. There's too many names going on. The baseball park here where the Sounds play. You know, can that be expanded? I don't know.
I've heard that it can't. If we were to get a major league park, I don't know where it would go. They'd have to tear that sucker down.
But I mean, so we got it. I think maybe the answer is you look at these one at a time, and you're probably right. We are building lots of stadiums. You look at this one at a time, but then you have to look at it in as a whole. You know, how does this fit in with everything else that's going on, and does it make sense? And in the end, it's like you got a lot of people. You know, the Adams family, Ms. Strunk, is putting up a lot of money for this.
Sure.
That's what they want to do, and they're figuring out a way to pay for it, and taxpayers are protected.
And that's really the key, because most economists, the big ones, will tell you they're head scratchers. They do not understand, and they do not see the bang, you know, cities get for spending public money on stadiums, period. You may say, what? No. It just doesn't translate into financial sense. Public money being spent. Now, are there benefits? Obviously, but most economists will tell you it doesn't translate. It just doesn't, and yet cities continue to do it over and over and over again. Because I think politicians know they can say, well, we're the ones, and everyone likes the team, and rah-rah, and maybe that's what it's all about, politics that come into it, but it doesn't translate financially into bang for your buck.
Well, this is something we have to look at. We want people to stay involved. Tonight, I don't think there's going to be much discussion. I think they just get pushed off. They're just starting to move, and I would keep watching the task force, keep watching the news on all this stuff. If we have a public hearing, come to that. We're having community meetings, come to that, let people know. But in the end, the hope is that we do obviously, we're going to force our council to do their due diligence. And then we need to get back to the stuff that I think government is responsible for, and that is we got an affordable housing problem. Belfast has an affordable housing problem. Dublin has an affordable housing problem. It's happening everywhere. What do we deal with it? Look for other ways to deal with it. We've got a big movement going on with homelessness, you know, trying to figure out that. There are crime. You know, when I was overseas, I was getting reports about there was the shooting, the drive-by shooting yesterday in Chicago. I mean, these things are horrible. And then, you know, internationally, you've got nationally, you've got elections coming up, and internationally, you've got a war in Ukraine that is just horrible. And so
you're talking about all the really important stuff that translates beyond stadium deals.
You know, this is important from the standpoint of money and things like that. But then you get past that, and you go back to the stuff that, you know, trying to keep people safe and healthy and get our kids educated. That's what's important.
We will see where we are in a month when you join us again. Maybe we'll know more at that point as we move forward. And you're the world traveler, so welcome back home.
Thank you.
It's good to have you back on the job.
Thank you. I'll be there tonight.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. It's always good seeing you. We'll take a break. I'll have a programming note about tomorrow right after this. Stay with us.